Hi, I'm Mitch Shoemaker, and today is day 6 of my making 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on my writing. So, yay for day 6! My favorite number. I love day 6. Day 6 is a good day. And I worked on chapter 6 in the Fall of Espinglonja today. Yay! Chapter 6. Lots of sixes. I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote that chapter, by the way. I started reading it thinking, okay, there's something going to happen with this character. She's looking for another character. And I got through the whole chapter and I was like, I don't understand what I was thinking when I wrote that chapter. I don't understand why this character was looking for the other character. It didn't make sense. It didn't flow with the story. And then I was doing a lot of showing and not telling. Like, it wasn't putting her thoughts in there, or like the actions, like her physical responses to things. It was more, she felt this, she felt that. I was like, no, 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 no. So I pretty much rewrote most of chapter 16. I mean, I left the main idea for the chapter in place. I just took out all the confusing parts and I just kind of made it more from the main characters, one of the main characters' points of views. I have 3 characters' points of views in this particular book because I read one of those deep POV books, point of view books. That's what POV stands for, point of view. I didn't know. I had to read a book about it because my mentor, when she was like, here, read this POV book, and I was like, what the heck is POV? I was so confused, but it's point of view. And it basically talks about like how to not jump around, how to not confuse the reader when you're switching points of views, how to, like leave a space or do some kind of a tag, some kind of indication that you're switching points of views, or do one of those little like dot 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 things, or start a new chapter with a different person's point of view, something to not confuse the reader, and then not to have more than 3 characters' points of views in the book so that the reader can actually get attached to the characters and their points of views. And I think the only way you can have more points of views than that with multiple characters is if you do a really long series and you start with just one character's point of view and then you start introducing the other character's points of views in the later books, kind of like they did in the Wheel of Time series. I never finished that series, by the way. I think I got lost in book 5 because I did something very similar to what I did in the Fall of Espinglonja, where like it kept changing different stories, but you had different stories for each character because they all ended up in different parts of the land, and so it kept bouncing between like 4 or 5 sets of stories. And then, according to my brother, it goes to like just a whole book on one character's stuff, and then you have to wait to the next book because they just leave that one and they do a whole other book on a different characters and the different characters. Then, I mean, they eventually all come back together, they all intertwine, but it's kind of, they start off with one in the first book, and then like the second and third book, they start branching off to the different viewpoints of the different characters throughout the book, so you kind of get to know the thoughts and intents of all the other characters that are introduced in the first book, but it's just from one person's point of view, I think, in the first book, maybe 2. I don't remember. It's been a really long time. I read that while I was like in high school. It's a long time ago, but I think I kind of based some of my book ideas off of that book. Not all of them, but I mean, you read a bunch of different books, different authors' ways of doing things, and then I get like my own little ideas or stories or whatever off of them. So I kind of liked some of the ideas about the different powers that they had or used in that book, and traveling around the land and different things like that. But I kind of created my own version, my own kingdom that's separate from that, powers that work totally differently than that. So it's not like that. It's just kind of one of the many places I got my ideas. But sadly, I understand Robert Jordan passed away before he finished the series, and then I had someone else that was helping him write it that finished the books. But like I said, I never actually finished reading past book 5 because I got all confused. So I don't want my book to be that confusing where people are like, I don't know who's talking, I don't know what part of the story is going on, this doesn't work for me. So my book, it is from 3 different characters' points of views, but it's the same story line the whole book, I guess. So it's just kind of different characters' points of views at different times in the book, to where it would be most beneficial, I guess, to the reader to understand what's going on from the different characters' points of views. to kind of fill in the gaps for the story, I guess, because there's lots of different things happening in the story, all simultaneously. So it's just kind of, okay, this part of the story happens from this character's point of view, this part of the story from another character's point of view, etc. It just kind of alternates throughout the book. But I've only revised the first 7 chapters, and I have to revise, it's 24 chapters long, and I've already taken out several chapters and characters' points of views, and it hasn't shrunk my book any at all. It's still a very long book. So I made it like 10 pages per chapter originally, and it was 24 chapters, so it's like 240 pages long, and I don't know, it's like 120,000 words or something like that. And I think it's still like over 100,000 words. I don't know what the word count has to do with anything, but for some reason that's a new thing. Maybe it's not a new thing. It's just, I mean, I remember reading books in junior high and high school that were like 300 words. 300 pages long. Like, it was common to have books that were 300 to 500 pages long. Not that I ever read any of the Stephen King books, because I just don't like scary stuff. And maybe it's because I had enough trauma and stuff in my life. I didn't want to read about somebody else's because it just triggered my own. And even though a lot of that stuff was probably way worse than mine, I didn't want that going in my head because it just added to my own anxiety and paranoia. So I don't like scary movies. I don't like watching scary movies. I don't like reading scary books or thrillers or things like that. So I was like, not interested, because I had like someone found out that I read like a 300 or 400 page book like in a week, mostly because I stayed up all night reading it and then pretended I was too sick to go to school, and then I could stay home and read it. So I didn't go to school for a week so I could stay home and read a book, because I'm a very slow reader. And I don't always process things, so sometimes I have to reread stuff, because I'll start reading somewhere and somehow I just get lost, and I'm like, what the heck did I just read? I don't understand this, and I have to go back and reread it. So I don't know how good it is for me to read other people's stuff to review it. Maybe it is, because I have to keep going back, and if I get totally confused, I'm like, okay, I don't understand this at all. Somebody explain it to me. But I also think I write that way too, where my brain just goes faster than I can think somehow. And then I write stuff, and like today I was going back and reviewing chapter 6, and I was like, what the heck was I thinking? This doesn't even make sense. This doesn't go with the story. I mean, the character's supposed to be there. It's at the event. She's supposed to be at the event. But there's no reason in particular for her to find someone else at the event. Like, maybe because she wants to have a friend, maybe because she's trying to figure out what's going on. But she has the power to figure out what's going on. So she kind of already knows what's going on. She's just uncomfortable in the situation, and she wants to get out. She's being overly stimulated. So maybe that's why she's looking for someone else. But I was like, not making sense. And then, of course, what happens, and I was like, okay, everything happens. I'm like, this makes sense. This makes sense. This makes sense from doing it from her point of view. But I'm confused as to why she's looking for someone else in the chapter. So I just took out her searching for someone else, because it just didn't make sense to me. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe someday I'll remember what I was thinking, or maybe I won't, or maybe there was something else in there that I took out that would have made it make sense, but I took it out and I didn't change the rest of it to make it flow. And that's a possibility too, but I'm pretty sure it's been over a year since I did that revision, and I don't remember what I was thinking when I did that. So, brand new. Doesn't matter. I think that's the beauty of writing and changing books. And I think I've heard somewhere that books are not written, they're like rewritten, because you have to write them multiple times. You have to revise them. You get other people's input from beta reading to understand like what they're to make sure other people can understand your book. And if they're coming back with a bunch of questions like, all right, now I have to add this detail, or this detail is totally superfluous, doesn't mean anything, or it confuses people, so bye-bye. So I get to learn all of that while I'm working on writing my books and doing my revisions. And it's kind of interesting, because in this case, I haven't actually sent this book out to beta readers. I'm just trying to rewrite it now that I have a better understanding of how to write to readers. And so it's interesting for even me to just go back and read my stuff. And like I was saying yesterday, I'm like, I read like 3 chapters. I'm like, this is really good. I totally got into my writing. I love my writing. And then I'm into tonight. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a piece of cake. And I'm like, what the crap was I thinking? And it was just one chapter different from the others. And I was like, I don't know where my brain went with this chapter. This just doesn't even make sense. So, but I'm grateful that I got to do that, to read that, to see the difference in my writing, to realize that sometimes I write things that actually do make sense, and sometimes my crazy brain writes stuff that makes absolutely no sense. Or maybe at some point it did make sense, but I'm like, that's not going to make sense to anybody else if it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm repeating myself. I'm rambling. I had like 3 hours of sleep last night, but I had an amazing day. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful that I could function all day long on 3 hours of sleep. And I chose to just kind of relax and take some time to myself today. Well, actually, I was really busy today. And by the time I got to relax, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. And I was like, I don't care. I haven't watched TV in like 4 days, which is good. That's a great thing. I probably should not be doing that anyway. But I was like, I just want to watch a movie. Popped in a movie. It was a Halloween movie, but it's like one of those Disney Halloween movies, so it's not scary, which I like. And it has like a happy little ending, and nobody gets hurt in it. So I'm like, it's good. It's not one of those ones that's going to give me nightmares later. So yeah. Anyway, so I just kind of relaxed. I watched a movie. I played some games on my phone, and then I was writing in my journal. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. I would be in bed right now if I hadn't done this other stuff. I'm like, wait a second. I actually gave myself permission to relax and enjoy myself for just a little bit today, which was great. And then I still managed to stay awake. I'm still functioning. I have no idea how that is. I'm pretty sure that's a God thing helping me function right now. Not sure how well I'm functioning. I think I'm very repetitious and super excited. But I stayed awake. I was able to try to do a review for my friend's book. Apparently, you can't do reviews on Amazon if you don't spend more than $50 buying stuff within the year. And I don't buy stuff on Amazon, so I can't review my friend's book on Amazon, and I feel horrible because I didn't know that before I said that I would review her book, which is why she let me read it for free. So otherwise, I mean, she's an author. She's a published author. She should get paid for her work. So, I mean, obviously, if I can get her to review one of my books or beta read one of my books, it would kind of be a fair trade-off because she gets one of mine for free. I get one of hers for free. But she didn't have time to do that for me right now, which was fine. So I was like, all right, well, I'll review it anyway. But then I tried to go and post a review, and Amazon's like, denied, you don't have access to do this. And I'm like reading why I can't write a review. And it's like, oh, because you need to spend $50 or more. And I was like, seriously, I have to spend money to write a review on something. I can't just write a review about a product or a book or something that I've read or done. I was like, that's just dumb. So then I was able to do one on Barnes & Noble. I did leave a review on that one. She wrote a really good book, by the way. I'll have to ask her if I can comment on that in my YouTube videos. Not that there's a whole lot of people watching my YouTube videos, but I don't want to advertise her book for her without her permission. That's not okay. Anyway, I don't know that she would mind, but I don't want to do it without her permission. But anyway, and then she said something about Goodreads, and I went on Goodreads, and she had other books that she'd published that are on Goodreads, but I couldn't find her new book on Goodreads. And I was like, well, I can't write a review if I can't find the book. Like, it won't pop up for me to write a review about. So I was like, all right. Then I did a Google search for it. And I was like, and Google popped up the thing and saying, no one's reviewed this book. Be the first to review the book. And I'm like, all right. So I reviewed the book on the Google search. I don't even know where that review goes. But I'm like, here's a review. Because I was trying to follow through with the commitment that I made to review her book. So I was like, all right, I'm trying to keep up my commitments. I'm trying to do all of these things, and I'm still not doing a very good job at fixing my schedule so that I can sleep regular number of hours and get a decent amount of sleep and still do everything. Because I still don't think it's a good idea for me to function on 3 to 6 hours a night. I really think I need to do 7 to 9 hours a night in order to not be tired all the time, to be able to function, for my body to start healing. But I also find it interesting in doing these videos, focusing on one thing like my writing, and it's forcing me to develop other character traits like consistency, creating a schedule. Because I've been talking about a schedule. I talked about it the whole time I was doing my 100 days of gratitude. It never happened. And now I'm like, I kind of have to, because I can't get any sleep if I keep doing what I'm doing. So I was like, nope, I'm going to have to get a little bit more strict with myself. I'm going to have to get more into my schedule. I'm going to have to let go of some of my flexibility and know that life is going to happen and it's not going to work out perfectly, but I need to be more consistent, which is something I have not been, and I need to have a more rigid schedule, which will probably actually be good for me to have a regular schedule. I have the idea for a regular schedule, but I balk at things like that. I don't want to change. I don't want to get locked into something. I don't want to feel like, I don't know, like I fail if I can't do it. So I'm like trying to leave things wide open so I don't have to be responsible for anything. I think there you go. There it is. It just popped out while I'm talking. So I don't have to be responsible for anything. So if it messes up, I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to like change. But in order for me to do this, in order for this to work, I do have to change. I do have to be consistent. I do have to have a schedule. And if I'm going to become a published author, and if writing is going to be something I'm doing, which is what I want to be doing with my life, with my career, to make my money, to be able to give up the job that I'm doing now, I have to make it a priority. I have to put it in my schedule. It has to become one of those things that's non-negotiable. It has to be my writing time is my sacred time, and I have to use that time to work on my writing, to work on promoting my books, to follow through with my commitments that I'm making to myself and to others. So I know that I can do it because I did my 100 days of gratitude, which I'm grateful for. And I am now on day 6 of doing my writing and learning different things about myself in the process. And it's funny because I was thinking just yesterday, I'm like, I've done 5 days of this and I'm not learning anything new. I'm not doing anything new. And today I'm like, and I need to do a regular schedule. I need to start making changes in my life. I can't continue to do things the way that I've been doing it because I will not get any sleep and I will run myself into the ground and I won't be able to finish these videos. I won't be able to finish my books. I will not be able to succeed if I do not set more consistent boundaries with myself. So I have to start setting a little bit more consistent boundaries. But at the same time, I'm also grateful that I was able to say, okay, I have been going like crazy for like 5 days. And even though it meant that I stayed up a little bit later tonight, I'm a night owl and I was going to be up until 2 o'clock in the morning anyway. My plan is to go to bed at like 2 and get up at 10 so I get 8 hours of sleep. So it's not even 2 o'clock yet. Okay, maybe it's 2 o'clock now, but this is the last thing I have to do before I go to bed tonight. I've already written in my journal. I've already brushed my teeth. I've already worked on my book. I had put 16 things on my to-do list today, and this is number 16. So yay, I got to do my whole to-do list today, which I'm also very grateful for. And I did things that I didn't put on my to-do list today too, as well. So that's awesome. So I'm not going to beat myself up over choosing to spend a little time to just unwind and watch a movie and not stress about go, go, go and being productive, because I'm not used to having the energy to be that productive. I'm not used to being that consistently productive in my day. I don't have my day planned out to the point where I'm like, I have to do this and this and this and this, and there is no free time left. So I like having a little bit of free time, a little bit of leeway, but I need to kind of schedule it a little bit more and not let the free time leeway stuff take over the rest of it. But I figure if I had all the other stuff done today, I mean, it makes for a really great day, and I'm very grateful for that. And I did have a really great day today. Started off a little slow, had a hard time getting up. Don't know how many times I hit the snooze button on my alarm before I took a shower, and then I was late for church because I just didn't get up to my alarm this morning because, 3 hours of sleep is just not enough. But, and then of course, every time I sat down to try to take a break, after that, I started to fall asleep. So I'm like, crap, I can't sit down. I have to get up and keep going. So I got up and I kept going and I kept going because I had commitments I had to do. So the fact that I could just sit and relax and not fall asleep and watch a movie was just kind of nice. And I'm grateful I was able to do that. I'm grateful I could still find things to be grateful for. I'm grateful I was able to see my writing and stuff that I needed to change in my book because it didn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, okay, this is the process of rewriting and trying to get something better that is high enough quality to be published, to have other people read and actually understand and maybe even like, maybe be able to escape into my world for a short period of time like you can with these videos, maybe a little bit more into my books, and had some other really exciting personal things happen today that I'm very grateful for. I think I'm kind of on a little bit of a high from that. So I was like, yay, all around good days. I love day 6. 6 is my favorite number. And it just happened to fall on a really good day today. So that worked out really well for me to be doing chapter 6 and learning something from that, to be on day 6 for my video, to have something else happen in my life that I'm grateful for. So just a lot of good things today. So even though I'm tired and I'm rambling, I'm learning some things and I'm grateful for that. And I'm working on my writing, and hopefully I'm improving my writing. And if nothing else, at least I'm becoming aware of what I was doing that didn't work before. So hopefully I can do things that work better in the future, so that I have a better product, a better book that I can publish, that I can put out there for readers. So I'm excited about that. I'm grateful for that. And at some point, I hope I get enough responses back that I can do some revisions on Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers, and my other book, which is God's Hand in My Life. So just different things like that I think will be good. And it would be nice to have at least one of those 3 books published by the end of my 100 days. It'd be really cool if I get all 3 of them published by the end of my 100 days. I'm not banking on that. Don't hold me to that. I thought I was going to have at least one of them published by the end of my 100 days of gratitude, and that still hasn't happened. So I may get through this whole 100 days and still not have a book published. I don't know. I really don't fully understand this process, and I grew up always being told that I was a pest, so I have a hard time pestering people to actually follow through with reviewing my book like they said they would, or, beta reading it and telling me what I need to fix. So I need to be better at bothering them and saying, hey, if you read my book, did you have any comments for me to help me out here so I can make it a little bit better? And if you're not going to have time to do it, could you let me know so I can find somebody else? That would be great. And I mean, right now I have my one friend that's actually doing it, because I'm supposed to be doing that to her book, which I will be starting tomorrow. But I wanted to meet my commitment to my other friend that's already a published author. So my one friend that's a published author, she just wanted me to read her book and post a review about how amazing her book is, which it was amazing. And then my other friend, I think, is working on trying to become a published author just like I am, and her book is finally to where she's comfortable sending it out to people to get feedback to what she can do to make it better before she publishes it, which is kind of the same stage I'm at with a couple of my books. So we're kind of in the same spot, I think, so we can kind of help each other out. Although I think she has a little bit of an advantage because she actually took some courses and classes on how to do writing. Like, she actually took a writing course or a college class or whatever. I think it was some kind of certificate program. It was like for short stories, and I think she may be published in some like little magazines or things for short stories, but I think this is her first like novel thing that she's trying to write. So I think she has the advantage because she actually went to school and studied all of this stuff. And me, on the other hand, I always thought that I was bad at English. I didn't have the best reading comprehension, and couldn't compete with my siblings and my biological mother, who was always correcting my grammar. So I'm like, well, I suck at grammar and punctuation, so can't diagram sentences, failed that class. I don't even know why I need to learn how to diagram sentences. Couldn't learn how to speak Spanish because I got into a Spanish class where they wanted you to basically do the same thing in Spanish. And I'm like, I can't do this in English. What makes you think I can do it in Spanish? Never took Spanish after that again. I was like, teach me how to speak the language. Don't teach me all the weird grammar, punctuation, diagram, sentence, weird stuff thing. Doesn't make sense to me. So had a coworker one time that he spoke Spanish. He was trying to learn English. He was taking some English class, and he's like, you guys have like all these weird extra tenses. And I'm like, you have the same ones in Spanish. He's like, no, we don't. We just have past, present, and future. I'm like, yeah, you ask anybody in English and they'll tell you the same thing unless they're an English professor or a linguist or something. And then you've got the past participle, the past perfect, the future participle, the future perfect, the present, and whatever. There's like 6 or 7 different tenses that don't make any sense to me. So, and I still get confused with verbs and adverbs and nouns and all the other weird, I don't know. I was like, I can't do it. Seriously. That's why, and I was like, okay, but I can write. I can tell a story, and I can write the way that I talk, and hopefully people understand it. I can learn how to make things a little bit tighter, concise. Sometimes a little grammar thing on my computer helps. Most of the time it doesn't. But that's what beta readers are for. That's what editors are for, because they can catch all that stuff. They can make suggestions to me, and then I can kind of fix it and reword it so that it makes sense. even if I don't understand the actual structure of the sentence as far as the verbs and the adverbs and the nouns and where all that stuff goes. Like, I couldn't point out any of that in a sentence, but I can write a sentence without making the little green line show up on my on my computer. So this is why I didn't do English in school. I didn't take writing in school. I loved creative writing. I loved creative writing when we first started doing it in elementary school. It was my favorite thing to do. Took a class in I did poetry like in 8th grade and I loved that, and did some creative writing in 9th grade. Loved that. Got to 10th grade and we had to diagram sentences and I was like, and forget it. I'm done. Give me the creative writing side of things. I'm good. Give me the grammar, punctuation, the technical side of things, and I'm lost. So, I was just always afraid to do it. And so I'm grateful that I have this opportunity to write, to overcome my fears, to see that I do have a talent, a gift to be creative, to write, to create these stories, and that where I fall short, I can ask for help. I can ask other people's opinions. I can get feedback from other people so that I can fix it, so that I can make it better, so that I can learn, so that I can improve. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I've improved enough over the past year or so that I've been trying to write books, that when I'm going back through and reviewing something of my own that I already rewrote and thought was good, and I'm like, and it doesn't make sense anymore. So, but I know that enough that I can fix it, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I can continue to find things to be grateful for, and that I can focus on my writing and learn things, and that in the process that I will continue to develop other character traits, like more consistency in my life, maybe an actual schedule. Keep hoping for that one. Maybe by the end of my 100 days, I might master a schedule of some kind, because I know at the end of the 100 days of writing, I need to do 100 days of something else. And right now I'm thinking 100 days of marketing, but it might be 100 days of something else. I don't know yet. I really don't know yet. I didn't know at the end of my other 100 days, but I just felt like I need to continue because I don't want to stop the momentum. I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to improve. And I want to get to where I can actually get my books published. And if focusing on gratitude helped me to be confident enough to do that, then it was worth it. And if focusing on my writing helps me to actually finish some books, pester some people to beta read my books, find new people to do it, whatever the case may be, to get my books published, then it's totally worth it. And if the videos is what makes me accountable to myself and to other people. So I'm grateful for the videos because they help me to stay accountable to myself. They help me to track my progress, to see that it's worth it, that I'm making progress, that my efforts aren't going unnoticed, or at least by myself. I'm noticing my progress. So it's like, okay, I'm doing this, it's making a difference. That makes it worth it, and it makes it worth it continuing to see the continued progress that I can make. So that's why I will continue to make these videos. And since I'm on day 6, that means I have 94 days of writing to go. And hopefully I will continue to write and continue to do gratitude, and then I can just add something else at the end of my 100 days and continue to grow and progress, and we'll see where this leads me. So anyway, I think I've rambled and repeated myself more than enough for tonight, and I think I'm beyond tired and I really need to go to sleep. So that's all I have for today, and I hope you have a great day. And if you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share if you think they'll help someone else, and thanks for watching.